Now we're going to talk to another local candidate, but she's running for state senate in California. And California, it would be the, I think, fifth largest country or economy in the world if it was by itself. So these Senate seats are massively important. And District 11 covers San Francisco. So Jackie Fielder joins us now. She's running as a progressive challenger to an incumbent there. Jackie, welcome to the Young Turks.
Thank you so much for having me, Cenk.
No problem. So for you've gotten the obligatory comparison to AOC in the press, which is not such a bad thing because at least it gets you press and gives people a sense that you're a progressive, etc. But can you tell us what your background is before you decide to run for this political office?
Yeah, so I graduated from Stanford with a bachelor's in public policy and a master's in sociology. And after graduation, I got involved with the No Dakota Access Pipeline movement, which was a movement at Standing Rock Reservation. I am actually Lakota and Hidatsa, which are two tribes affected by the pipeline along the route. And I got involved via the Defund DAPL movement and basically founded the San Francisco Public Bank Coalition so we could take our $11 billion budget in San Francisco out of private prisons, the pipelines, weapons manufacturing, and instead reinvest that in affordable housing, renewable energy, small businesses, and public infrastructure. I've also led a campaign against our local police officers association and their dangerous use of force policy, and we won that. Last year, we passed statewide legislation in Sacramento to create a pathway for public banks. And so, I've gone up against giants before, Wall Street and fossil fuel corporations, obviously the Police Officers Association, and now I'm taking on the most real estate-backed politician in the California legislature.
Oh, I want to hear more about that. So there's actually two set of funders for your opponent that I'm fascinated by. Just real quick, I got to say, love that you were at the Dakota Access Pipeline. We probably cover that more than any media outlet in the country. Love that you were working on the public bank. Can I just ask, did that come to fruition or not yet?
No, public bank still has a ways to go. Right now, we're coming up against the problem of where we're going to get the money. So we're trying to figure out, especially now with the coronavirus and the recession, it seems like this is a prime time to remind everyone that we need public banks, but we need the political will to actually fund them. And so that's where that's at right now.
Yeah, because look, you got to go to where the money is. And because that is your leverage and your power to be able to do systemic change. And so, all right, now you mentioned that you were already organizing to make sure that you held the police accountable. It's already was like some folks think that, we need it now because of the George Floyd situation. No, we've needed it forever. It's just that a lot of people woke up to it because of the George Floyd situation. A lot of the rest of us already knew about it, as you did, and you were fighting on that. So your opponent, you're worried about the money that he's taking. Why? What money is he taking from the police that concerns you?
Yeah, I mean, other than being funded by the real estate lobbyists and the developers across California, he's also where he is right now because over the course of his 15-year political career, he's accepted more than $75,000 from law enforcement associations. And I, on the other hand, I started out this campaign pledging to not accept any support whatsoever from law enforcement associations. I'm talking about local police unions like the San Francisco Police Officers Association to the state level associations like the California Correctional Association or the California Highway Patrol. These are really strong influences. And in California, we often are kind of positioned as a progressive state. And that's true. We start off a lot of legislation around police accountability and use of force and decarceration. They start out really progressive, but then the law enforcement associations come in the way and they assert their own agenda. And this is something that we see at every single level, federal, state, and local. But here in California, we are actually in the middle of a moment where I actually challenged my opponent on Sunday to reject police contributions and donate $75,000 to mutual aid organizations and bail funds. And he actually took me up on that just yesterday. He said that he would donate his re-election contributions from law enforcement associations and give that to youth organizations. But that falls short of all of the $75,000. So the rest of it comes from his first state Senate campaign. And so now he's trying to attack me and say, I've accepted law enforcement association money, which is completely untrue. But I'm finally glad that we are having the conversation, because this is something that I have been pointing out for years now. And I think we're in a moment where we need to demand more of our politicians.
Yeah, well, look, I'm an absolutist on that. So if when I ran, I didn't not only take corporate PAC money, I didn't take union money, because at the end of the day, if they give you money, they want you to do things for them. And in the case of the police union, it is almost always to avoid accountability for something horrific that they've done to the civilian population. So I'm glad that you forced him to do that. He obviously would not have done that if you were not in the primary and did not have such a strong showing in the primary. So now you're moved on to the general election, because in California, 2 Democrats can run against each other. And obviously he got scared by your strong showing in that primary. So great job in putting pressure on him. You mentioned the real estate lobby. What does he take from them?
It's got to be in the hundreds of thousands right now. He has always been on the side of real estate developers, as well as luxury real estate developers, California Apartment Association, as well as the California Association of Realtors. They represent both real estate developers and landlords, and he has sided with them. His big legislation this past year was SB 50, which is a bill that deregulates housing in service of this idea that if we just build as much housing at all levels, no matter who they are affordable for, we can actually build our way out of this affordable housing crisis. And so I oppose that. I actually think that we need to build thousands of affordable housing units, as well as protect the housing that is already affordable, as well as protect tenants. And now with coronavirus, we need to cancel rent and cancel mortgages. We need to make sure that people aren't facing evictions or foreclosures after the shelter in place lifts. And that's exactly what we're seeing around the country. And that's something that he will not touch or budge on.
Look at that, a Democratic incumbent believing in trickle-down economics. I would have never guessed. Look, for the uninitiated, Jackie, they will ask, well, you got a Democratic incumbent. He's also LGBTQ plus community, so why challenge him? I mean, good enough. So what's your answer to that?
And that's it. He's not good enough. He is where he is right now because he has been a tool of the real estate developers. He has been on the side of police officers associations. Every single time that they kill someone, he has not called for accountability. He has failed to represent his constituency, especially those who are on the margins of society. Homeless people, undocumented people, low-income people, working class people, people of color. You can ask people throughout this district, and they will largely tell you they either love him or they hate him. And those who hate him largely do because he doesn't care about displacement. He doesn't care about police violence. And he's only now coming around because it's politically expedient. And so we need someone who's actually going to represent people, who's actually going to listen to everyday people, who is going to acknowledge the systemic waste of hyper-capitalism, where we have thousands of vacant units that exceed the number of thousands of homeless people we have on our street every single day, and that we have, at this point, blocks and blocks of people lining up for food banks while we are literally destroying crops. there's something bigger going on. It has to do with our economic system. And if it's going to happen anywhere in the country, it's going to happen in this district as far as challenging the economic system.
So important to support progressives because they run uncorrupted. And so they, without the big real estate money and the police union money, et cetera, they need your help and volunteers. So JackieForSenate.com. Jackie Fielder, thank you so much for running and for joining us.
Thank you so much.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.